What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we will be extending into the deep dive series by taking a look at the Pokemon known as Flygon. We officially got it announced that for Community Day, its special move is going to be Earth Power. And that is great news because as far as ground type moves are concerned, Earth Power is a very solid move. Don't worry, we will be talking about that before we jump into Flygon's performance, but why not go ahead and take a look at Flygon from a raid perspective, as well as PvP, and then of course just take a look into the side where we're talking about Dragon type, as well as ground type, and then decide for yourself. Is Flygon going to be worth powering up? Is it going to be worth unlocking a secondary charge move? That's everything that the deep dive series aims to go ahead and solve. So if you do enjoy this video, if it is helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. We're going to go ahead and take a look at ground type moves in general, and then of course figure out how it applies to Flygon. So as you can see, we've got the move Earth Power in at the second position. The only move currently beating it is a move that is not even released into the game, Precipitous Blades, and this is going to be the signature move for Groudon. But as you can see, I mean, it is miles ahead of the move Earth Power, so odds are it's probably going to get updated. We'll keep our eyes out for that in the future, but as it currently stands, Earth Power is the best move in the game for the ground types. And then when you take a look at another move that Flygon has, Earthquake, it is clearly an upgrade from 40 up to 55.56 DPS times DPE. It's just an improvement for Flygon. So the real question is going to be, with this improvement, does it all of a sudden become a viable Pokemon from the ground typing? We're going to have to take a look. But like I said before, since Flygon is a dual type Pokemon, we want to take a look at it from both the Dragon as well as the ground typing. So from the Dragon typing, of course, we've got Dragon Tail as well as Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw, not necessarily the best move, but it is fairly good on the PvP side of it. And then for the ground side, we've got Mud Shot, Earthquake, and then Earth Power. I am going to run a simulation where I end up comparing the two moves of Earth Power versus Earthquake, so you can see just how much of an improvement it ends up making. But before we get into the actual simulations, we need to talk a little bit more about Flygon. It's got a max AP of 2,661 and is a dual type of dragon as well as ground. Can't wait to go ahead and cover into both of those. We really need to dive into the actual stats of this Pokemon just so we can see kind of what we expect from it. So when we take a look at it, we've got an overall ranking of 146. That's really not that bad. The issue is when you get to the actual stats themselves, you've got an attack stat of 205. Oh, that's so low compared to the other dragon type Pokemon in the game. Going to be very tough to compete from the dragon typing. A little bit more open on the ground side. And then finally, the best stat is technically its stamina, but it does have a low defense too though. So I don't know. We've got a lot going on with Flygon. It doesn't seem like it is going to be the master of any, although it is fairly well-rounded. A fairly tight rank if you want to look at it on each stat. So we're just going to have to see, right? Run those simulations. The first one that I thought would make a lot of sense to do would be versus Giratina Origin Form. Just in case we end up getting that released as a raid boss, would you want to use? Well, keep this in mind. I mean, Flygon's not in at this 7th position. Instead, if you look at the numbers, we got Gramble in at the number 22 and then Rampardos at number 24. Flygon comes in at 29, so I had to take a screenshot towards the bottom of the list. Flygon is on the list. Hey, that's a positive, right? But unfortunately, it's not doing very well. So if you were using it from the dragon typing, honestly, you should not expect much. You've even got a pseudo dragon type. I mean, that's a reference, I guess, but you've got Gyarados with some legacy moves that's actually doing better than Flygon. So that's really not good news for Flygon, but hey, honestly think that the good news is going to be on the ground side. So I think that Flygon has a very close kind of relationship to another Pokemon known as Garchomp. Garchomp is also a dragon as well as a ground type Pokemon. And once I started doing research on that Pokemon, I realized that it has some major resistances versus pure electric type Pokemon. So that allows these Pokemon to perform so much better. So if Flygon is going to do good, it is going to do the best versus an electric type, a pure electric type Pokemon. So let's go ahead and run the results. The first one is going to be with the move Earthquake and not the move Earth Power. So keep that in mind. If you go ahead and go down to the number 16 spot, we've got Flygon with Earthquake. But remember, we've got Earth Power, which is going to be a major upgrade. But how far is it going to put it up the list We are going to run this, but just as a little bit of a disclaimer, technically on PokeBattler, at least right now, it is not put into the simulations, but I reached out to the creator and he allowed me to have access to a spreadsheet where I could go ahead and run the simulations and see where it would be if it had Earth Power. So it's going to end up being the exact same thing regardless of where I got it from, right? So I set everything up to be the exact same thing as I did when I ran the simulation over here. And the time to win that we ended up getting was 863 seconds, when previously it was at 978 with the move Earthquake. So it upgraded tremendously as far as the time to win is concerned. But where does that end up putting Flygon in the overall rankings? It puts it right behind Mamoswine and then right before Rhydon. Rhydon's pretty far back, so yeah, I would say that it's pretty solid in at the number 8 spot. If you want to look at it that way, I mean, that's fairly good for a Pokemon that is non-legendary. I mean, it just got upgraded, but with the stat of 205 as an attack stat, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Flygon to overcome it. It's going to need a moveset that is just ahead of everything else, and nothing else has like access to it. But regardless of that, we still need to talk a little bit about Flygon from the PvP. When I went ahead and went over to like pvppoke.com and checked out the rankings, what ended up happening was Flygon, it actually was recommended instead to use Earthquake as opposed to Earth Power. But even with that, when you go ahead and take a look at the Great League, as far as its rankings are concerned, it ended up being 99th. That's not good at all. So Flygon, not good from the PvP side. And then when you get into the raid side, it's just kind of good. Not good from the dragon side, but then from the ground side, I think it has at least some usability. So that just about wraps up the video. I guess all in all, what we could say is Flygon is really just kind of pretty good at a couple of things, but not the master of any. If you do want to get the most usability out of Flygon, definitely go about it from the ground route, and then of course go at the raiding when you're going up against electric type Pokemon. That's going to be the spot where it shines the most. As far as powering up this Pokemon is concerned, I'm going to give that a big no. I do not think that it is worth it to invest any Stardust into this Pokemon to go ahead and power it up. And then unlocking a secondary charge move. If you do want to use it for PvP, I would completely understand that. You've got Dragon Claw, which is a solid move. You've got Earthquake. You could use Earth Power if you want to. In that regard, I would say yes, but as far as the rating side, yeah, it's going to be a big no. This is going to be an easy decision. You're not going to really have to think about what you want to invest in with this Pokemon. That's just kind of the name of the game. Not everything can be the best. Unfortunately, Flygon is one of those Pokemon. But still, what I want to know is, are you excited about Flygon as a Community Day Pokemon? Definitely let me know in the comments section below. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you next time. If you want to develop a deeper connection, I would highly recommend you to check out Patreon. We've got a lot of really cool things going on over there. Check out all of these supporters that we have. We are almost up to 100. We are also posting some special content, some behind the scenes work. And if that is the type of thing that interests you, I would highly recommend you to check it out.